What is up, you guys? Pete DiCarlo here, and today we're going to be going over Apple. I made that video on Amazon yesterday, and we're going to kind of do the same exact thing today. And we're going to do that with a lot of other stocks that are coming out. Now, like I said in that video, companies and stocks like Apple, Amazon, Facebook, I'm not going to go through the nitty gritty of the balance sheets, the income statements, PE ratios, and what the company does, because we already know that, right? I want to do that for companies that are less known, not the second biggest company in the entire world or first biggest company in the entire world, but going over those smaller companies, because we know that Apple has a very strong balance sheet. We know they have a great income statement. We know they are not going to crash and go bankrupt in a recession or anything like that. We already know that. So what I want to do in this video is look at the bigger time frames, really take a look at the weekly chart, look at the monthly chart, watch where the supply and demand zones are, because like I said in that last video on Amazon, even if you are a long-term investor or you're looking to quote buy the dip, which I hate that term, but quote buy the dip, you should still be watching charts. You shouldn't be watching, what's happening today or tomorrow. You should be watching these major charts. If I'm a long-term investor in a company, I'll sit down and look at the weekly chart every single month, right? Just once a month, 20, 30 minutes, maybe even 10 at this point, and just start to notice some things, start to notice where volume's coming in at, where the volume's not coming in at, once the RSI starts to look oversold, etc., etc. So we're going to go into that. We're going to take a look at Apple. The other thing I quickly want to do as well is actually just add a MACD, because I haven't added a MACD on here in a very long time, but I really like to use the MACD on these bigger time frames. It's a very, very good indicator normally when we're starting to find a bottom and when we could start to move back up. So let's get into it. Hit the like button as well. Hit the comment button. Let me know other companies you want me to do this for. If you have any company in your portfolio or anything that you're watching that you want me to do this for, please let me know down in the description below. I'm actually going to go through and remove the TTM because we don't really need the TTM in this bigger chart right now. All right, boys. So let's get into it. Let's take a look right now at Apple. So this is a weekly chart. Like I said, we're watching these bigger time frames. I don't really care about what's happening if I'm a long-term investor or trying to find a spot to buy. I don't really care what's happening past couple of days, couple of weeks. I'm really looking at these bigger time frames. This weekly chart right now is since really you can see here, this was the lows during the Roni. And this goes all the way back right now to about 2017. So you can see we had this nice, solid, very, very consistent bull trend on Apple, right? Very, very good bull trend on Apple. I want to go through and draw these trend lines all the way back here. But this was a pretty damn good trend line up until the pandemic. We were way overextended here on the RSI. You can see the RSI was way above 70. 70 was, right up here, and we started to push back up, and it was way, way, way overbought. So that's one thing that I want you guys to understand, and one thing that I really want you to look at is the fact that it was way, way overbought. We had already expected that, and that's where you see these RSI lines getting up over there. Then during the pandemic, we had that massive crash, and we went from basically $81 all the way down to about $52. You can see the RSI went from 90, dipped down all the way to about $35 at that point. And that's where we bottomed, right? We hit this 100-day SMA, and then we just get rid of everything that has happened so far in 2021 and 2022. But if you look at this, this is a solid upward move. This is what a stock, in my opinion, should look like when we're in a healthy bull trend, a healthy uptrend. You're going to go ahead, and I'm going to put this on the monthly, and you're going to note it's the same thing. Healthy bull trend. I mean, basically since that breakout in 2004, a healthy move. It looks very, very good. Doesn't look ridiculous. Doesn't look like it's going parabolic or anything like that. And it's pretty crazy to think when you're watching at these big time frames that a company like Tesla with their market size could even go parabolic. But it can when we're looking at these bigger time frames, which is very important to keep your eye on. So we have this pullback. Right, we tapped on the weekly chart, tapped the 200-day SMA in 2018, pulled all the way up, pulled back, tapped the 100-day SMA back in 2020. So we have ridden this, SMA for a very long time, bounced up, and this is where the insanity starts to incur. Right, we see from the lows during the pandemic, March 23rd, 2020, all the way up to recent highs about 6 months ago, a 245% return. We all know I'm beating a dead horse. Go back, watch more of the videos I've made on this channel and our other channel, Traders Helping Traders, but that shouldn't have happened. Our economy is not better than it was before the pandemic. Yes, Apple did very well, but now we have all of these other issues. Some of the issues that these companies are facing, one of the biggest things I was going to say before is, looking at inflation. Inflation not only hurts the consumer, inflation hurts the companies themselves, because they're going to make lower bottom line. They're going to start making layoffs. We're seeing a lot of company layoff people. That's the first sign of a recession, when they start doing these layoffs. Because you look, before they couldn't hire anybody. Now they're starting to cut. See a lot of companies cutting. I think Tesla cut like 10%. A lot of companies are cutting. And if we look here where we are right now, we finally broke that uptrend. We're holding this little range. There is a lot of demand below this. So there is a lot of volume from like here all the way down to 110. Now, if you look at the RSI, we are flattening out a bit. We do have a bit of a divergence. So we have a low followed by a little higher low. And if you look at the MACD actually looks pretty decent. I'm going to zoom in. You're going to have to watch the bottom of the screen here. But you can see that we have found a shallow bottom on the MACD, which is a good sign. But you can see the SMAs are still so far away, guys, so far away. And the RSI is only at 40, right? It's not like we're dived down to 30, 20, 23. I think ultimately that we can at least see us snap here and then move back down to about 120 bucks. $120 on Apple is right down to this support. This was a strong support prior, and I think $120 is a really good zone where we're going to start seeing some more buying. Now, if we were to snap 120, the next level is all the way down at $100, and $100 is where the 200 SMA is. I don't think we're going to go any lower than $100 unless we're in like a massive recession. And if that were to happen, then we'd see that push down to 80, 70, 60, and the big area down to 50. But I don't think that drop to 50 is going to happen. I do think a drop to 100 there's a big chance that it could happen. At least a drop down to 120, there's a big chance. Taking a look at the monthly chart, exactly the same situation. Look at how parabolic this thing has been in the past couple of years. We had this very, very nice upward trend using the 50 SMA as a smart upward trend. Very good trend. And then out of nowhere, after COVID, we have this massive rally, and look at how ridiculous things are. This is where it gets a bit scary. Looking at this big time frame, the monthly chart is nosediving on the RSI. Okay, it's very important to understand. The monthly chart is like years and years and years. I mean, we're looking back right now till 2011, so we're looking at like 11 years right now. We can even go further. The RSI is nosediving, right? No bounce in sight. We're not even past the 50% mark. 50 is like we're bearish. We're still in the bullish aspect of the RSI. We're just nosediving week after, or month after month after month. The MACD has just crossed 2 months ago, back in May. Looking at the monthly, it seems we can very easily drop down to the 50-day SMA. And if we look at recent history, the past 10 years on Apple, we have bounced every single time, and we have retraced. This is very important. We have retraced every single time on Apple down to the 50-day SMA where we have bounced. And where does that 50-day SMA line up? Right at the $100 point, which we talked about on the weekly chart. In my opinion, guys, I think Apple's going to drop to $100 in the next 6 to 7 months. I will be buying down at $100. I think we could see 60s if like a really bad recession were to happen. But when I look at a potential recession right now, and I'm going to talk a lot about this a lot more, I don't see a recession like 2008, right? I don't see a recession that is super deep but super shallow, meaning that it's really, really bad. We see the market crash, like, Lehman went out of business, but I don't think it's going to be that hard, but I do think it's going to last a lot longer than we saw 2008. 2008 was like 2 years, and then by 2009, 2010, we were coming out. I think this recession is going to be about 3-4 years long. I don't think it's going to be as bad, but I don't think the market's just going to continue to go straight back up, and I don't think we're going to have like a quick rebound. So just something to think about, guys. Hopefully I'm wrong. Like I want to be wrong. I really do. I make my money in the market, and I would like the market to go up. I hope I'm wrong, but it is something to watch out for. Thanks for all the support, guys. Have a great day. Let me know any stocks you want me to do later on. Put them in the comment section. Thank you. Have a good day. Peace.